Oh boy, today we are dealing with a monster. A monster on our roster we all face. No, I'm not talking about Brock Lesnar. Today we are talking about envy. This is the 2vement podcast. We are your hosts, Davey D and the Vengeful One.
Hello.
Yes, envy. Let's just start with the dictionary definition. Envy is defined as a feeling of discontentment or resentful longing aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, or luck. Envy is not to be confused with jealousy. Jealousy occurs when something we already possess is threatened by a third party. Envy only occurs in a two-person situation whereby jealousy needs a third person as an external stimulus added to that scenario. So you cannot be jealous of someone else's roster. You can only be envious because obviously you don't have what they have. Envy is simply a reaction to lacking something. Jealousy is a reaction to the threat of losing something. So in this podcast we're going to talk about, there's a list of different things that we envy other people for, whether it's their roster quantity, like, how many people they have on their roster quality, how many 3-star golds, 3-star silvers, how highly they're ranked in versus, how many things they have in their inventory, whether it be TP, tokens, store offers, like double cash offer, or whatever special bundles that they offer to certain players that they don't offer to others. Some people, with their mega pull luck, their event rankings, their faction membership. So like we're going to delve into all of these. And I just want to personally start when it comes to, I used to get really envious of people with higher rosters than myself. Like take for example, Vengeful. He's like, what? You're 250k now, right?
Yeah, just about.
Oh my God. He basically, his roster is almost God tier. And you see, like he says, you either pay a lot or you play a lot. And since I can't pay a lot, I do play a lot, but it never really seems to stack up to those who play a lot. So, when you see him with his Undisputed Future Seth and his Brock Lesnar's and this guy and that trainer, like, the little jealousy monster rears its little head. What about you? Is there anyone in our faction or anyone in general that you find yourself being envious of?
Um, I'm envious of anyone who has George Steele right now. No, I mean honestly, it's more of other factions, and but I'm happy to say that I'm in a much better place than a few months ago, because I think it's also when you start to climb and you're trying to climb, especially in verses.
Yeah.
Because in verses it just smacks you right in the face. It's one thing in feud, you can kind of sit it out and, okay, you know what, I'm not gonna injure my guys, or somebody else can take over, or I'll just wait till the next brawl. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
But in verses, it's like you get 3 guys to face, and they're all 3-star golds, and I only have a silver, and it's it really points out right away what you can't do, and therefore what you can't get to improve, if it's the next tier of tokens or whatever. So as long as that was going on, there was definitely a lot of that. So I was trying to play a lot of catch up and that sort of thing, and just investing in things that would, like coin bags and whatnot, that you'll get coins eventually. Just be patient, and it wasn't worth it. Now at this point, yeah, I mean, like, we're friends with a lot of the guys in execution, as and I get to see some of those guys have incredible rosters, and just some of these newer characters that the new character designer has been putting out, like Mr. Perfect and Macho Man. And it's like, would it be nice to have those characters? Oh yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, I am actually fine with having who I have right now, because the reality is, at any point, no matter what your roster size, unless you are the guy that has, the highest roster in the game,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be some buddy that you can be envious of, and the to overcome it doesn't happen by improving your roster. Overcoming it is totally a function of improving your mindset.
Mm, yeah. We're definitely going to get into that improving your mindset a little later on when it comes to remedying envy. Speaking of verses, oh boy. I don't so much envy the fact that I can't get that high. I envy the fact that I can't get that high to get those big tokens. Because as we know, Versus is a crap show right now. And unless you have certain characters like Balor or Seth or, anybody who has an awesome MP trainer, you're basically hovering around 500, 600 with 3-star goals just impeding. So it's like I had to come to a point of like, okay, until they fix Versus, I'm just going to have to be content with the fact like this is all I can be in Versus, in rankings, and just focus on Versus as a place to farm my TP and get the headliner chips. Because that's about it. Otherwise, I'll just be sour every week trying to accomplish a goal that I obviously can't get to.
Yeah, I think obviously we'll get into a lot of the remedy stuff, but yeah, I would say, rosters are an easy thing to
Oh,
envy.
yeah.
And a number of 3-star golds. Versus rank is very easy as well. I think versus rank, again, just to go back to it, that was the one that really got me, because I'd look at like, man, if I could get above 5,000, I'd get 320,000 coins a week and 3-star gold tokens. Oh my God, that would be so great. And and I tried so hard to make that happen. And finally, when I did, I realized, wow, everybody here can beat anyone else. So I could even,
Mm.
and my one of my favorite screenshots that I have is this brief moment in time when I captured the number 3 spot in
I
versus
remember that,
a
yeah.
few months, and I got knocked down like right away. But it was, but when you reach there, you're like, oh, okay, now what? you
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
it's very easy to get complacent with what you already have and then focus on what you don't have. And it's, but versus is one of them. Inventory wealth. Yeah, the store offers like the double cash. Oh my God, you get the double cash offer. I want that.
Yeah.
Mega pull luck is definitely the one when you
Oh.
see somebody pull, like with a free
No,
shirt,
you,
a
you know,
free shirt pull, and they get
it,
some
it
awesome character.
it doesn't even stop there. Like premium chips, when we got like new recruits coming in saying, oh, I got Lawler on one premium chip pull, I was like, get out, just get out right now. Like
Oh yeah, the Lawler. Yeah, it's true.
uh,
It's any valuable character,
oh
but
yeah, yeah.
and then also, yeah, the faction membership. We on occasion get to feud with Execution, which is pretty cool. But before that, I got to a point where I had this roster and it was great, but other than versus, there was really no reason to have all these 3-star golds. And I was like, well, what am I doing playing the game anymore? And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have the schedule that allows me to feud constantly, which is which is why I love our faction. We're casual. Um, but I did get to participate in one of the weekday feuds with them, and they were kind enough to let me have one of the top reward spots in the top faction, and I think there was a new mega released. I think it was Hacksaw that weekend, and it was the first time he was offered, so a lot of people were buying bags to try to get
Oh
him.
yeah,
And
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, and I got the number 1 feud rewards, and I just all of a sudden go, whoa,
Mm.
this is what I'm missing out on.
A whole
And
new world. Yeah.
yeah, and I think it was for a day. I was like, oh my God, how can I go back? You know?
Mm.
And because I was it's hard to be envious of what you don't know, but then once you know it, you're like,
Yep.
man, look at all these headliner chips and all these coins I got in this British Bulldog feud reward. And then I think a day passed and I realized, okay, I have to be realistic. They work their asses off to maintain that. And
Yeah.
I can't contribute that every time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy for me to look elsewhere and say, I don't have this. And meanwhile, I have my entire faction. You guys are looking at my roster going, God, I wish. It's like,
Yeah.
it's so wrong of me to not be grateful for where I am. And I think that's probably true for a lot of us. I mean, we've all got some pull, whether we paid money or it was premium or something. There's the one guy that we lean on the most, right? And we could very easily not have that guy, right? Or we could very easily not have had that one lucky um we got the token drop in a loot box from a match that allowed
Oh,
us to upgrade a guy 1 week earlier, but it's so easy to forget those things.
yeah.
But we were so happy in those moments, right?
Yeah.
And it's it all boils down to just focusing on what you have and what you're grateful for. And to me, what I realized after growing my roster, and 250K is not like the biggest in the world, right? But it depends on who you ask. Um, but I realized the best part of this game is the people that I get to spend time with. It's
Mm.
everybody in our faction. It's you. It's all the officers and enforcers. It's all the new recruits that are so excited to be here. It's this podcast and getting to talk to other people and pick their brains and get to know them. Like those are things that don't happen unless we have this game. So yes, I could be focused on what I don't have, or I could be focused on the latest bug that's annoying me or whatever. But what's the point? You're just going to drive yourself nuts. But it's very easy in this game to fall to envy. And all I can say as somebody that, has been fortunate to get to where I am is there's no endpoint. So you get to create your endpoint wherever you want, where your
Mm.
envy ends. You get to decide that. It's whenever and wherever it is.
Yeah, I think one thing we need to remember is that nobody has it all. We always compare like the worst of what we have about ourselves to the best assumptions we make about others. And once you create that disparity in your mind, it always seems like an insurmountable distance. So it's kind of like a mirage. We build up this lofty vision of what this other person has and how great it must be to be over there. But then on the flip side of that coin, they're going through the same thing with somebody else, and the fantasy we built up of their reality are like totally two different things. And
Oh yeah.
we have to remember that each person we meet experiences some sort of problem, experiences some sort of weakness, just like us, and that's what makes us all intrinsically human. Like nobody at all is exempt from that. And we need to stop comparing ourselves with others and compare ourselves with ourselves. Like, what was my progress like last week? How much effort I put into grinding this character to be so great? The discipline I'm maintaining with like not pulling for mega pulls, but saving my money for um was it headline, not headline, 1250 cases. There's
Hmm.
so many things that we can compare ourselves to make our game better, to make our experience more fulfilling, than to harp on what we don't have by comparing it with that awesome player or that awesome character we don't have.
Yeah, and I think it's partly, unfortunately, a larger symptom of our society right now.
Oh yeah.
People post on Facebook and Instagram their kind of cleaned up version of their lives, right? They're only
Mm.
posting the highlights for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy. And we all know people, maybe ourselves, and we're scrolling through their Facebook feed and you're like, oh, wow, look at this person's life. It's
Yeah.
very easy, and the same thing happens in this game. But the reality is, like you said, everybody's going through different things that most of them you don't know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's life is problem free. And honestly, I think at this point, 34 years into my life, I've grown to appreciate the problems because those are the things that force me to grow. I don't
Wow.
grow when things are going well. When things
Wow.
are
I
going
like
well, I'm
that.
not growing. You have to put me under stress and some hardship for me to make a massive breakthrough. Now, I'm not asking for it, but when it comes, and it will come, you know, navigate it and embrace it. And it's just not productive to focus on what you don't have. And but the reality is, if we all are honest with ourselves, there's something about this game and there's something about life. There's at least one thing that you're grateful for,
Oh
that
yeah.
your life would be worse if you didn't have it, right?
Yeah.
So
My
focus on that.
my playtime would definitely be worse if I didn't have like such a great faction, because you definitely become your environment. If you are, as you guys will hear on next week's podcast, if you are in an environment where people are just moaning and complaining and being bitter about this other faction they're in contention with, then you become that. All you can see is the negative and the perception that's placed on you. And if you're finding that you're in such a toxic environment, you have to shift your focus, or rather, maybe just leave and find another place that can engender positivity. Because once you become your environment, then how you perceive the game, how you perceive your competition becomes completely different. Like, for example, when I said, like, I used to be jealous of your rosters and stuff, I'll be like, okay, he has Sting, he has this person I don't have, but I have such and such. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save my resources until when I eventually get Sting, because it's going to happen at some point, that I can immediately take up Sting to such and such level. I may not have this character, but I have this other character who is kind of similar. So what I'll do, I'll invest in that character. Like, not every character in this game is the same, but there are some characters who are like kind of adjacent that you can supplement, not having that ideal character for. And you can still play your game because your game is your own personal little world. And the only time our worlds really interact with each other is like during feud, because for the most part you're just playing your game. So you can't taint the enjoyment of your little microcosm by wishing it was somebody else's microcosm.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And if you start to look at what can you do with what you have,
Yeah.
try to get a little creative, because as your roster grows, you're going to get some characters blitz fodder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe not. Like, okay, I've for instance, holiday crafting event. I got lucky, striker Brock Lesnar, right?
Yeah.
What do I not have for him? George Steele,
Steel.
right? So he goes from being, wow, this guy could be a top tier dude, that if I got Steel, I'd have 6 people, I have all MP trainers, and I'd have a top tier guy that could use each of those MP trainers, right?
Mm.
So great. The first time he was available, I didn't do anything for him to try to get him, because that was before I got Brock anyway.
Yeah.
In January, he was a mega, and I threw my free Raw shirts at him. Nothing. I think I did a 4-pull with Shane Money, that I had budgeted for that. I'm like, okay, nothing. I was like, I'm not gonna go chase this guy for hundreds of dollars. It's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
And didn't get him. Anniversary came around. There was like, okay, there's more stuff available. Let me try. Didn't. Okay, now what? Well, what did I get during the anniversary? I got Bret Hart, Trickster, and I got Striker Baron Corbin.
Oh,
And then I
really?
thought, yeah, which, Trickster Bret I wanted just because he's my favorite wrestler of all time. And I was like, I'm going to level him up no matter what. And Corbin is actually an interesting character because he has some low MP moves, and, he can, there's not a lot of good SmackDown guys anyway. So like, oh, this would be interesting. Well, both of those guys, their trainer ability is take less damage from purple gems. So
Hmm.
what I have now, and granted, this is not like some top tier setup that you're gonna win a ton of matches with, but in versus right now, one of the actually pretty much the only defense I run into anymore is unless it's a bot. It's so great when you run into a bot. But if you run into a real person, it's pretty much always Undisputed Future Seth Rollins with George Steele on him and Daniel Bryan, meaning on turn 1,
Purple.
he's going to hit you with a choose 8 purple gems, and it's going to cause a giant cascade, and you're going to get hit for at least 40,000 points. In one match earlier this week, on a turn one, this dude hit me for 72,000 points.
Ooh.
And it's like, that's on turn one. There's nothing you can do about that unless you have, like, let's say Eddie, and you do the submission on turn one.
Yeah.
And so it's irritating, to say the least, because you're going to get hurt, you're going to lose health packs. But so what I did was I took my Brock Lesnar and I put both of these trainers on him. So he's not a very good offensive guy, but
Defensively.
right now those purple gems are hitting me for I think like only 60% of the damage.
That says a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's got a submission finisher. So he can extend the match, bring in his tag partner if needed, and finish him off. So yeah, I can get maybe 1 or 2 matches out of him before he gets injured that way. My point there was I could have focused on, I have this top tier guy and I don't have his MP trainer. What a waste. And meanwhile, like, how many other people would want a 3-star gold striker Brock Lesnar even without George Steele?
Yeah.
Like, shame on you if you start thinking that way, right? So I was fully conscientious of that this time, because I've had the roster envy problem in the past, and this time I'm like, okay, you know what? If I get Steele, I get him. If I don't, I don't. I'm gonna play Brock this way, and it's actually kind of fun to just take a turn one move and be like, that only hurt me for 30 and not 60, or whatever.
Yeah.
So and then hit back. So whatever. I mean, you have to look at what you have and make the best of it, and just give yourself opportunities to improve your roster, whatever that means, because that could mean collecting 2-star chips, collecting premium chips, saving up Shane money so you can do a mega pull. Or maybe it's, I have good enough guys right now, I'm going to save it for 1250 bags or other token cases and improve the guys I have. But I think what you said was kind of interesting, because it reminded me, you said the only time you come into play with other people's rosters is feud or versus, right?
Yeah.
Or in your faction if people are sharing. But really, like, face to face, those are the only times. I was just remembering back in the early times playing this game, I didn't start playing versus for maybe like 6 weeks after I started playing the game. I was just playing tour. I didn't even play the LT tours. And if this was a pure single player game, would you really care that you don't have some character that you've never seen how good they are?
Exactly.
Unless they were just somebody that you were a fan of in real life. So it's all that, it's just perspective. Like, but if you just focus on what you have and make the best of it, there's very little room for envy.
Yeah. Yeah. And even going back to when I was saying, like, switch in your environment, it's also important to be around people who celebrate you for what you have, whether big or small. Like, even in our faction, again, you're the guy in our faction who's ranked number 1 with our roster. And you would have like a new recruit come in, hey, I just upgraded this guy to like 2-star silver. And the way you would celebrate that person, you would think that they pulled all 30 new megas. And I think that is so awesome, because it then becomes an infectious environment where no matter how big an accomplishment, no matter how small an accomplishment, the fact that it is an accomplishment is something to be venerated. And being in a faction that does that, it kind of kills really the opportunity to be envious, because when envy does rear its head, the stockpile of gratitude and being genuinely happy for somebody else is so overwhelming that it next to immediately squashes the feeling of envy. It's like, okay, this is this person's time, so I will celebrate with that person. I know at some point I will have my time and I will be celebrated as well, so I'll be happy for them as if I was happy for myself. So I just think it's so cool that, someone of your stature, who really has no reason to celebrate somebody, say, like getting a 2-star silver, let's just say Big Show. If that person thinks it's important, then you think it's important too. So I think that's really cool.
Well, thanks, Davey. I mean, I think part of it is just I remember the feeling when I was in their position, and it was
Yeah.
really exciting. It just happened to be an earlier cycle in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember back, in the first few months of the game, the only way to get a 3-star bronze was to pull them as a mega, right?
Yeah.
And to develop your own was not easy at all because first of all, you had to be able to get the 3-star silver tokens at the end of the weekday tours, right? And
Yeah.
then the 3-star gold tokens. I mean, there was no Sunday night heat. I think the only way to get them was through verses, getting to
Yeah.
1400, and you had
Yeah.
to get 2 of them. So it was hard. It was hard to build up that first 3-star bronze, but I happened to pull mine before I ever built one up. But I do remember, when you got that first 3-star bronze and you're like, wow, this guy kicks the crap out of everybody
Yes.
in every tour. And it's so exciting. And like one of my favorite things to this day is when somebody builds their first 3-star bronze.
It's the best feeling.
Yeah, I think Funkmaster is about to or waiting for the next enhance event or something. Um, but yeah, or like I think we had a few people take Bray Wyatt to 3-star bronze this week, or recently, and you know, it's easy for me to say, oh, that's old news, or I have him at gold, and I
Yes.
have all his MP trainers, and he's,
Such a
he's not,
douchebag thing to do.
but like it doesn't even cross my mind because the only pleasures that we have in the game, truly, are when we build toward a certain event,
Mm.
right? A
Mm-hmm.
certain upgrade, and then we finally reach that and we get that upgrade. We make that upgrade and we're so excited, right?
Yeah.
That is the joy of the game. But the beautiful thing is that it doesn't matter if that happens at 3-star gold or it happens at 2-star silver. The
Not
joy
really.
is the joy,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
why I think I'm trying to remember last week. I think somebody got their 2-star chips and pulled. Was it 2-star chips? I can't remember who they pulled. If it was like King Barrett or Mark Henry or something, but it was like the first time they pulled them.
I think it was
And
Barrett. Yeah.
it was a Barrett,
I think so.
and no, I feel like it was somebody that didn't have even trainer value. I think it might have been Mark.
You sure?
Yeah, and but they were really happy about it, and I was like, "That's great," I'm happy that you're happy.
Yeah.
Now don't waste your resources on them. But no, it's true though. Like, and the other thing is, I'm at a stage of the game now where I have 13 3-star goals, and until they release 4-stars, and that's another opportunity for me to start getting envious because there's some people that are going to jump right over and get 4-star characters right away, and I'm probably going to be slower at it. I could I know that's coming, and I have to make sure that I'm not envious when that happens. And I think I'm in a better place to not let that happen. But my point is that I'm at the stage in the game now where I've topped out. Like, there's not much. I mean, I can continue to grow the roster, and I am, but there's no real reason to. But I get excitement when other people are able to upgrade their characters because they're happy. Now I'm happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And to go back to your point about, the eventual 4-stars coming out, even with our current situation with like mega superstars, we have to be very wary that the marketing in this game routinely fans the flame of envy, because it is so strategic that it can cause you to recklessly desire and spend money to get these characters. And it can drive us to some great detriments, whether it be like debt or like people asking for money. Like, I mean, it's just a game. It's just a game, but at the same time, it pulls on something that's very, how should I put it, crude and basic within humanity. Like you said, we always desire what we don't have. So we really need to be on guard for these marketing tactics. We need to recognize them when we see them for what they are and refuse to succumb to the allure of them, because they will come again. Like, It's not a one and done type thing. You're going to have to build up your resistance muscles. It's like working out. 5 pounds may be heavy now, but the more you work out with those 5 pounds, okay, it becomes nothing. Then you upgrade to 10 pounds. So you have to, see these must haves as a opportunity to, I don't need to have it right now. I need to forego the immediate gratification of, I need to have this now, because in reality you don't need to have it. It would be nice to have it, but you can forego that gratification by, like you said, focusing on, like, what are your long-term goals? Who can you invest in on your roster that is probably a hidden gem that you don't even know about, that there's like so many different ways that you could possibly run this character as opposed to the meta tier list way. So yeah, man, just be leery of those feelings that will come during a mega pull, whether it be an MP trainer or, like we said, the eventual 4-star.
Yeah, the mega pulls are a recipe for just disappointment. And just the drop rates are, you have to expect to not get anything. And if you do, great. But if you get upset every time you have a failed pull, you're going to be upset a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get into those strategies here for how to address the envy in a minute. I think that'll probably be some of the most useful parts of this episode, and I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to getting to those.
Yeah. Has there ever been cuz I don't want people to think that envy is one-sided. Has there ever been a time when you've been envious of like a lower ranked player?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Ooh, do
All the
tell.
time. You, for one, for all the crap that we give you for Dvon, or at least gave you, you don't really use him much anymore because you have Bray, but you were happy using him. Like, isn't that the point? Here I am going like, oh, I can't get enough shin guards to get a 3-star gold striker, and you're happy using Dvon. I'm like, what am I missing here? But honestly, like, I wish if I could go back and do it all over again, I would probably go closer to the free-to-play route. And I wish I would have had people ahead of me that could have told me, okay, don't waste your time on this guy, especially if you're free to play. Just focus on some of these key characters.
Yeah.
And the reason is that the route that I took, I wanted to move up versus, and I wanted to be the best. And for what? So I envy people who can just are happy playing with what they have. And I've reached that place a lot better now, and we'll see what happens when 4-stars come out. But nonetheless, yeah, no, it happens all the time. Like, especially like we were talking about the when people have a pull, like, or like a 2-star silver pull, or upgrade some guy to 2-star gold, and yeah, I mean, I might be sitting on a bunch of 3-star golds, but they're happy. They're really happy. And especially if they didn't spend much money to get there, I'm like, well, they're smarter too.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, it's definitely not one-sided. It's definitely not one-sided. You can find something to be envious about no matter where you are. It's not a matter of status. And look, I used to work on Wall Street years ago, and I was a small peon. Analyst, but there were people in the company, obviously, that were very well off and financially, and yeah, everybody kind of, as a society, kind of look at some of these people and say, oh, they're making so much money, life must be good, or screw them, or whatever. But I knew a lot of these people personally, and God, they struggle through a lot of things, just that everybody does, especially when you're working as hard as they do, the hours and whatnot, the health problems and the family problems that they've had.
Yeah.
I don't want those, like, I don't, sure, that kind of money would be great, but not at that cost.
Yeah.
And you don't think about those things. And I know for a fact that some of them, when I left and went to pursue my calling, they were a bit envious, like, wow, it's pretty gutsy that you could just walk away from this industry and go into something completely different. That's gutsy and daring. I wish I had that. And
Mm.
it's like, it's all your perspective. It's all in what you create for yourself. And maybe that's a good transition into how to address it.
Yeah. First and foremost, we need to stop viewing life as a competition, because when you enter a competition, you're doing it for a prize, and there's only maybe like one to three of those prizes, like gold, silver, bronze. And once we view life as that, then we are saying that there's a finite resource called joy, that there's only so much joy in the world, and this person is going to get your portion of joy. So you need to have what they have to get joy. And we need to realize that joy is an infinite source. And the moment you learn to experience happiness in other people's joy, then you take a huge step in overcoming envy and realize that you too can have your joy. Like, having joy at somebody else's joy, that's a return on joy. Instead of being bitter at somebody else's joy, then you're already in a deficit again. And even if at first you have to force yourself into being happy, eventually it becomes a habit, and then once it becomes a habit, it becomes second nature. So practicing good habits, you are, what does it say? Your thoughts becomes your actions, and your actions become who you are. So if the first thought in your mind is to be jealous, like, you need to rewire that to be, okay, I'm gonna celebrate this person. And then that becomes an action, and then the action becomes who you are. And then guess what? It becomes infectious, and birds of a feather flock together. So, there's no room to facilitate growth for envy. So, one, recognize that joy is not a finite source, it is infinite if you seek to find ways to make it a possibility in every situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tony Robbins says, if you trade expectation for appreciation,
Mm,
your life will change. And
mm.
you think about it, and just go to Twitter and search WWE champions and just see all the complaining
Oh,
everywhere,
man. Yeah.
or, I didn't get this thing that I deserve, you know. Um, okay. Uh,
Hmm.
whether or not you get that thing, chances are you'll be upset at something else.
This is true. Yeah.
Now, if you trade that for appreciation, I appreciate my faction mates. I appreciate the fact that this game even exists and I've gotten to meet all these people,
Yeah.
I appreciate these things. It just changes everything. So it's really about, like you say, shifting your focus to what is good in your life. Um, what are the simple thing is, what are the good things that happen to you? And one thing that I do from time to time is I have all the screenshots from all the good pulls and upgrades and whatnot. I'll go through those screenshots and be like, oh yeah, I remember when I upgraded AJ Styles to
Ah,
3-star silver. Yeah, that was a good day. And I'll just, because it's a good feeling,
yeah.
you focus on that.
Yeah.
Focus on, if you're in a faction that you love, focus on that aspect of it. If you enjoy feuding with them, or you enjoy talking with them, or whatever the case may be, like, that is really valuable. um so it's really, again, about that focus. And one of the things that I've done, and here's a little hack. I used to have the bad habit of going to bed, and the last thing that I looked at was, did I have, this is back when events missions were different, the old ones. And I
Hmm.
looked to see if there was anything else I had to do. Right. And then the first thing in the morning, I'd wake up, right? The first thing, forget anything else. I'd get up. I not even get up. I'd reach over for my phone in bed and open up to see if something had, Vince mission had cooked, if it's ready to go, or, there's something else to do, whatever, right?
Hmm.
Or if we get a faction gift or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
or Shane contract was ready. The first thing that I do to greet my day was this game.
Mm.
What do you think the rest of my day is going to look like?
True.
Right. So now, I don't sleep with my phone. Right. When I
Hmm.
go to sleep, I go to sleep. I wake up. I don't look at it. I go through my morning routine. So I'll go brush my teeth, might sit down to pray and meditate for a little bit. And then I'll pick up my phone to pop in my headphones and go to the gym. But I won't really look at anything on my phone. I'll just load up the music or maybe a YouTube videos or that sort of thing. And
Got
then
it.
I'll come back after. And at this point, what's happened? I've gotten my blood flowing. I've focused on improving myself
Right.
in various aspects of my day. And then, and only then, do I look to see if there's a faction HQ mission that I need to, claim a prize or now. In doing so, have I, joined in during a return period and only got yes, I've
Hmm.
lost out on some stuff. But the rest of my day is so much better because I'm not focused on the game. I jump in when I want to play. I talk to my friends in the faction when I'm able to, and that's it. My life is not consumed by it. And when your life's not consumed by it, you can focus on the things in your life that you are grateful for, not just the game, right? And then it just, like you said, there's no space for envy when you're focused on what you're grateful for.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Like, you don't have to try to not be envious. It just doesn't happen.
I need to apply that in my life. Like everything you just said, what you do when you start your day, I need to apply that because since my phone charges on the bed next to me, and when I wake up, I check Faction HQ to make sure I don't miss out on anything. And like you said, once you start your day with that, then it's kind of air quotes downhill from there. Like I haven't done anything to build up myself. I haven't ate breakfast. I haven't checked in with anyone. Hey, good morning. How you doing? Is like champions.
Yeah.
Then Discord to see what everyone is saying. Then back to champions. And then, maybe like 30, 45 minutes later, okay, now I can get up and do stuff. But
Oh, and the worst was Monday mornings. I remember there was one week, actually, it's probably more than just one week, but it was one week that I distinctly remember where I woke up on a Monday morning. I claimed my versus prize for the week, and I went to capture my fame, and I didn't stop to get out of bed until I hit 4,000.
wow.
And I was like, and then I got up and like everything that I needed to do that morning I was behind. Like, it screwed up my day. It screwed up my week.
Mm.
For what? And just so that I have the opportunity to be like, oh, I could have done that faster if I had better guys. Like, come on. you know,
yeah.
like you really, if you haven't done so already, find a way to have something happen in your life or go on a vacation or something where it's like so much more exciting than the game, just for a weekend even, and realize that, wow, my focus was taken away from the game and life went on.
Yeah.
And then when you come back to look, you're like, okay, fresh perspective. It's all about the environment. Your environment is so much stronger than your willpower. So much stronger. We have a finite amount of willpower every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can use that on, I got to go to the gym, or I got to eat better, or there's
Yeah.
only or I got to struggle through my job, or whatever the case may be. And after that, we just break down, you know. But if you create an environment where, okay, this is my morning routine and this is just what I do, then you get into that routine, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's not so hard. Okay, I have a whole week to get my fame. I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
do it all
Yeah.
right now, you know. Anyway.
I would say piggybacking on your point because I've been kind of in that situation sometimes. For me, it's a compulsion of feeling like I'm going to miss out on something. Like I need to have everything done now. I need to be on top now. And that I wouldn't say that so much is right in the coattail of envy. Maybe it's the competitive streak, but it still boils down to priorities. Like you said, like setting your intention for the day and making sure the game has its place in the totem pole, which should not be at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I think it also goes back to, like you saying, reminding ourselves that nobody has it all.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
nobody does.
Yeah, you will always never have enough resources in this game. So you would always find yourself like the hamster in that little wheel running, 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 trying to get stuff, trying to be at the top. The game is specifically designed so you will never have enough. Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Um
mean, that's how it's built.
yeah, yeah.
And I'd say another thing to build off of the your environment is stronger than your willpower. And you touched on this earlier. Surround yourself with the right people because you do become your environment. Um, they say that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Hmm.
So really take an inventory and say, who are the 5 people you spend the most time with?
Yeah.
And if one of them is toxic to you, this applies to life. This is not just the game. If one or more of them are toxic to you, you got to make some decisions, because you have to take every moment as an opportunity to see whether is this something that can help me grow as a human being or not. And surrounding yourself with the people that are living life the way you want to live it
Yeah.
is the best way to get there. And I love spending time with grateful people. I love spending time with people that find excitement in the small things.
Mm.
I love spending time with people that understand that it's relationships that make life worthwhile.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I love 2vement so much. I would never imagine anywhere else unless somehow our culture completely changed and do our best to not, let that
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
But, if anything, like I think we've done a good job, especially, there was a period of time we just happened to attract a lot of good people. But then
Mm-hmm.
we also let a few in that weren't such a good fit because we were just trying to grow. And, we ended up putting through an interview process in it. And also, like, even people that got accepted, we had to release them because it's like, it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
Either, they want something competitively that we don't offer, which is fine. Or even if it's just a culture fit that we're just like, okay, you know what? You are entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your feelings. And I don't want to tell you to change who you are. However, this is our culture
Yeah.
and we need to maintain this,
Yeah.
because again, like there's all of these negative forces that can be present if you allow them to enter in the game. But when you have good people around you, like we have in 2vement,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, this is why I play the game.
Yeah.
It's for you guys.
Yeah.
I love helping you guys. I love sharing in that excitement of getting to and that's what makes it worthwhile. So yeah, if you find that you are in a faction, let's say that's very negative and you don't know what to do about it, well, maybe you do know what to do about it. I'm not saying we're the place necessarily, but
Yeah.
change your environment and you will change your perspective and change your life. And that's true in every aspect of life, not just this game.
Yeah. Like definitely being more generous, whether you give up your time, like you said, the advice, knowledge, whatever, giving of yourself, volunteering in your faction, anything that requires less of you receiving and more of you giving. Once you expend that energy to doing good, the overall conglomerate return investment on that that within itself becomes toxic for envy to survive in. Like envy can't survive in a place where people are saying, here, take more of me, take more of me, I want you to do better, I want you to be great, because it's like a circle. It keeps feeding on that momentum and it gets bigger, it gets stronger. And that within itself is the antidote for envy. Like I could be bitter right now, but here's what you can do to make that character you just pulled that I want even more awesome. you know Don't waste your TP, your tokens on this other person. Like just invest and focus on this guy.
Right, right. I mean, look, all of us could have benefited from some advice that wasn't available
Yeah.
once upon a time. We all have at least one guy on our roster that's like, that's embarrassing. You know, I took him up that high. But yeah, I think, look, it's part of it is, yeah, you want the environment to be one that supports you, but at the same time, you recognize that you create your environment too,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think one of the things that we talked about when preparing for this episode, it's like we had the recent faction based blitz event, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I looked at first, I looked at that blitz and I was like, this is typical, no health packs in it. The most of the rewards are 2-star and premium. The only guy I don't have is Dude Love, and he's so hard to pull from 2 stars. So whatever. There's a lot of coins and there's a lot of prop boxes,
Yeah.
but other than that, But and then when you looked at uh, the faction rewards for the event, you really have to climb pretty high for the hats to be really worth it.
Yeah.
A lot of blitzing by a lot of people and a lot of hell modes. And at first, when it came out, I was like, oh, you know what? Yes, it's a lot of hell modes, but the restrictions don't look so bad. I think we can do this. And I proudly put in our announcements, like, if we did X number by X number of people, then I realized, like, oh, these restrictions are actually pretty bad, and not a lot of people can even do hell mode.
Yeah.
You know, um, and so I lowered my expectations. But I'll be honest, I didn't tell this to anybody at the time, but we were, because it was what, 48 hours. I think we were
I.
about 24 hours into it,
Mm,
and I had hit the most that I was willing to do. I think I'd spent maybe it's probably 7 blitzes, so 1,400 tickets. I think I started with like 4,000. And I'd spent 1,400 tickets in the first day, the first 24 hours, and helped however many points that was. And I just thought, okay, hopefully if enough people do more, then we can get to some significant milestone. And I remember because I was busy that weekend also, and I remember looking back after a while and seeing that we hadn't really gone that much further. And I remember thinking to myself, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that this happened, but I remember thinking to myself, oh man, it's like, is that the furthest we can get? Like, why aren't why aren't we doing more?
mm-hmm.
Because these hats will help everybody.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not much, but like all we really need is like, if everybody did 4 hard modes or something, like that kind of thing. And I'm doing the math. I'm like, oh well. And I think that was Saturday night. And then I went back to doing what I was doing, and I know that like Turtle was trying to rally the troops, which I saw
Yeah.
late. Pretty cool. But the following morning, I said, okay, that's not the right mindset to have, because you don't know, there are issues, right? Maybe people don't have the roster to even attempt hell mode. Or
Right.
maybe if they have the roster to attempt hell mode, they're only winning half of them because it's hard. And if, there's no point in playing it if you're going to win only half of them. You're better off doing hard mode consistently, right?
Yeah.
And to get over the hump of the next milestone, I had calculated, X number of people had to do X number of hard modes, let's say. And I felt like I had used more blitz tickets than I would want to on an event like this, because I usually save them for something like a King of the Ring blitz or an Earn blitz that
Yeah.
has some massive reward at the end and not much in the middle. Because I just like the higher end rewards, because the your roster needs more such TP and coins and tokens and whatnot at the end. So these smaller rewards, like 2-star chips, mean nothing to me and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I felt like, man, can't we at least get the 1,000 birthday hats? you know, uh, like it's not a very high reward, but I realized like, okay, you know what? There's not a lot of people that can consistently beat hell mode right now, at least to make it worthwhile to attempt. Because if you're only winning half of them, it's not a half of your hell mode attempts. That's a waste of tickets
Yeah.
and a waste of health. And you're better off doing hard mode, and hard mode gives you less for this event. So I said, you know what? I'm not even gonna think that way of how much do we all need to do. I'm just gonna focus on what I can do.
Mm.
I'm just gonna focus on my efforts. And hopefully in doing so, I can lead by example and everybody will just do what they can, even if it's normal. I don't care. Just something. Because it's not about even getting to that goal. It's about bonding together. It's
Yeah.
about putting forth the effort together. That's what matters. Even if we came up short, I'd be proud if everybody was like, "Yeah, I did this, I did that," and they're excited to contribute. Because our culture is more important than anything else. It's certainly more important than some reward, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So so I said, "Okay." And I had the time that Sunday too. So I said, I'm gonna go at this as hard as I can and contribute as many 100 points per blitz mode as I or hell mode as I could. And man, we came together and for us got that milestone that we were shooting for and finished 83rd
First
in the
time top 100.
first time top 100 anything. Like we're a casual, like we're not
Yeah.
even full. you know we're not even at 100 players,
Yeah.
and we're a casual faction, and but nonetheless, like the that was so enjoyable, and it
Mm-hmm.
didn't matter how many, I depleted like 3/4 of my blitz tickets, but I don't care, like it was
Yeah.
worth it because of the way that we came together. And and I think it just gave me a chance to say, okay, you know what? Just a few hours ago, yesterday evening, I was kind of feeling like, is that all we can do? You know,
Mm.
and just feeling like, I bet our friends in execution are gonna hit the final milestone. Look at all 12,500 birthday hats for the last one. They probably have like 20,000 birthday hats
Smashing
just
it.
for
Yeah.
finishing this and whatnot. And you know, and those thoughts went through my head. I'm not gonna lie that they didn't, but I was glad that I was able to take myself out of it and say, okay, what can I control? I can control my effort because
Mm.
I'm one of the few people that can complete hell mode every time in the splits.
Yeah.
So I'm in the unique position and I have the time on Sunday. I can contribute very heavily to us succeeding here, and I'm going to do it. No matter the outcome, I'm going to make it happen, at least my effort part of it, and we'll see what happens. And the way that the team came together and we got it, and I was just like, 83rd. I'm so proud of that. I
Yeah.
will have that goes in my screenshots folder for the game because that was really cool. And who knows, maybe we can do it for one of these feuds too. Just yeah, we're a casual faction, but you cannot. I would be hard pressed to say that you have a group of people that will stand up for each other more than we.
I mean, yeah, I'm inclined to agree with everything you just said because going into the Blitz, I already had in mind a budgeted amount of tickets I was going to use, and there was no amount of encouragement, nothing anybody could say that would make me go past that allotted amount because, like you said, the rewards were so, and I was only going to do just enough so I can get like maybe like 2-3 2-star chip pulls so I could fuse up my Titus O'Neil. And I was like done. But you were consistently encouraging and imploring people, yeah, just these many more points, which is like 3 more hell modes, 4 more hard modes. We can do it. We can do it. And I was like, nope, not for me. Like I was getting ready to dress to work out, and the clock was running down, and I saw how close we were getting. And I was like, these heifers gonna really make me come up off these blitz tickets to help. And the encouragement was so infectious. I was like, you know what, bump it. I'm gonna just do it. And I got in there for a good few hell modes, and just coming down to the wire, realizing that, yo, we can actually do this. It was so joy invoking and fulfilling that when we actually did do it, like, to crack top 100 for us was major, but 83rd, like, what? Like, we did this on a faction that isn't even full, and the ones that are in the faction, half of them per se weren't even playing. Like, just the combined efforts of, I don't know, let's say like the 40 or so people that were actively doing the blitz yielded such a great return for everyone because we were selflessly giving of ourselves. Like, that's awesome, man.
Absolutely. And how that ties back to the envy is it's very easy to just focus on yourself or just focus on what you think you deserve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, just take a step back and recognize that, like I realize, for me, I used up a few blitz tickets. Hey, look, I got a lot of coins and a lot of prop boxes too,
Yeah.
right? So it's not like I got nothing out of it. I got a lot of coins, which I always need coins.
Always.
And props, you always need props, and you don't want to run out of them, when you need them.
Yeah.
And but like the extra effort that we put forth, like you said, everybody got a reward for it. That's enough. Those 1,000 hats are enough to put even one person into the next tier
Yeah.
of the anniversary event. And maybe that one person gets the one token they needed to get some guy to 3-star silver,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the one box that actually got them doink. How cool would that be, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you never know. But again, it's like I would rather. I have the ability to choose. I can't choose my circumstances, always, at least. You can influence them, but you can't always choose the way that things play out.
Mm.
But you can always choose how you feel. Suffering is optional.
Mm.
Suffering is always optional. So if you can just shift your focus or just decide, right? How do I want to feel? Do I want to feel miserable because I didn't get a certain mega, because somebody else has a better roster, because I'm not happy in the faction I'm in, or whatever the story might be for you,
Yeah.
right? Do you want to feel that way? Or do you want to feel content? Because I believe nobody actually consciously wants to feel that way, but unconsciously feeling negative is those negative feelings fulfills a subconscious need. And that's why
Mm.
people are stuck in that state.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a conscious step to say, okay, whatever stories about my life that I'm feeling like I'm always unlucky, or I'm always, blah, blah, blah. Whatever you want to fulfill, you're only going to focus on making those stories true. Everything that
Mm.
happens in the game, you're going to, like, you could say, if your story is I'm always unlucky, right? I can never pull a mega. Like, okay. And then let's say you never pull a mega. And you say, see, I'm always unlucky. But what about that time that, from a premium pull, you got Lawler?
Ah.
Or what about that time from a holiday vault, you got next big thing, Brock?
Yeah.
Like lucky things, but you're not going to focus on that because your story is I'm unlucky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or your story is that I always get screwed, you know. Um, you're going to carry that with you into every experience that you forward. Or you can say, I'm sick and tired of feeling this way, and I would rather enjoy the game. Okay, now it's a totally different story.
Yeah.
You're going to say, I'm going to make the effort to really enjoy this game. And we've given you some strategies there. Focus on the good things that have happened to you in the game, and also focus on the good things in your life. Your life comes first, right? And if you focus on the good things in your life, their game will be a game the way it should be, right? Remind yourself that nobody has it all, that everybody envies somebody else,
Yeah.
right? Even the high level players probably envy something about your roster too, or how much you've spent or not spent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spend time with grateful people, create an environment, spend time in a positive environment that is the way that you want to be, and you will grow together. You'll feel better together. Um, understand what your triggers are, that send you down a rabbit hole of feeling bad, and just that way, when you know that they're coming, you can kind of set your expectations. If it's mega pulls that send you down a rabbit hole, well, set yourself a limit. um, Celebrate other people and help them out. Everybody, you will, come on, like, everybody loves receiving presents, but what's more truly satisfying is when you give a present, right? I think most people will agree with that.
Yeah, and the
You give
joy the other
something, the
person.
joy,
Yeah.
yeah, giving somebody else joy, helping them out is so gratifying. Try it. It's a great feeling. And just being generous. You do all of these things. I'm confident that if you want to alleviate your envy in the context of this game or in life, it will happen for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it all boils down to making it a habit. Don't expect these results overnight. For some of us, it may be quicker than other people, but consistency is key. As long as you keep at it, eventually one day it's just going to be who you are. And you're not even going to realize when it happened because the transition was so seamless.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I think that's it. Is there any other thing to add to this? Because I think we pretty much covered it all.
I know. I was like, oh, this will be a short podcast. You,
Lies.
you got to get an hour and 10 minutes
Oh
gameplay or something.
man.
But honestly, if anybody's listening, let us know if you'd like more episodes like this, because one of our goals with this podcast is to talk about the human elements of this game. It's not just the game itself and what we'd like to see or whatnot, but who are the people that play it? What are the experiences of playing it? The real life implications of this game, because we all are very passionate about it, and if you're not careful, it can take over your life.
Yeah.
But there's ways of enjoying it, and we just want to bring that human element back into it and bring some positive energy into it. So
Yeah.
if you like episodes like this where we talk about the the mental health aspect of things, or whatever the case may be, let us know. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about, and we're here to serve you, really.
Yeah. I like that. Serving the community. Okay, man, this has been another 2vement podcast. We are your gracious hosts, Davey D and the Vengeful One. Good night and good luck.
Peace.